Hi, and welcome back to another episode here on the podcast Dare 2. I'm your host, Mette Hansen, and today, or a couple of weeks ago, some time ago, I had a conversation with Katie Feiler, and I really had a great time talking with her about sexuality and actually most about fitness related stuff because she recently have been competing more or not more, but she has started to compete in another way that she has usually been doing. And in this episode, she is she shares why she chose to do that. Uh, Basically, why she didn't do CrossFit as she used to do, or why she choose another sport than she normally or just were used to. So she dives into the things around this and wanting more challenge. She dives into some stuff about working more from home and life balance, like balancing different things in life, like job and fitness and hobbies and just everything life. So yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation and we had a lot of great things pinned out about how she also helps her wife now as a mental health and fitness coach. She has been helping her wife's company so that they can help even more people get to where they want, both and mentally fitness and mentally related. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy this episode, and I hope that you find some valuable, find something that you maybe can incorporate or use in some way in your life, or share it with someone you think might find some of it useful. Yeah, share the podcast, like it, rate it, or just yeah, leave us a message on the Instagram if you want to. If you'd like to take some time off to do that, I'll really appreciate that. But yeah, I just really appreciate the time that Katie had to talk with me about all of these different things. And yeah, we also dived into sexuality and how it was for her to navigate sexuality and how it is for her now, traveling, and just how she feels different places in the US are open about it, and her experience around this. Um, so yeah, that's it, and I'm glad to have you here. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Love ya. Okay, so yeah, thank you for being on here, Katie Filer, and second episode of the Dare 2 podcast. So I think that I would like to start with giving you a little introduction to those who listen, and then if there's something missing or you would like to add something, you could of course do that. So when looking on your Instagram, there states that you are a medical SLP, and then you also compete in bear as aesthetics. I don't actually know how to pronounce it right.
Yeah, aesthetics. You're right.
Yeah, that's the word. Okay, and then yeah, you have a lot of following on Instagram as well, and you also have started your YouTube and TikTok. Uh, yeah, so that's really interesting to follow it in and see your journey in that. So yeah, is there something you would like to add to that?
No, I think you covered all of my main kind of things that I spend my time doing. That's for sure. And I'm happy to have you as a follower and to now have you as a friend in real life, which is the point of social media.
Yeah.
I really like to use it as a tool to bring people
Yeah.
together and actually get to know other people across the world.
Exactly. I love the idea of that also. And I hope that I one day can meet you also. But that would,
Yeah, well, you know how much we like to travel, I'm sure. It's
yeah.
Denmark, right? Would
Yeah.
you be up there for this? That would be very cool.
Oh, have you been to Denmark before? No.
No?
Well, I've been to Florida a couple of times and I miss it a lot. So
Okay.
yeah, but it's been because of COVID, then it haven't been as safe. So, but
Yeah, I understand.
yeah. So but you do a lot of fitness and CrossFit. Or I don't actually know. Do you do as much CrossFit as Jamie does?
Jamie. No, interesting question though. I used to CrossFit. When I first met my wife, Jamie, I she got me into CrossFit because that was
Yeah.
her love and passion. And of course, me being the new girlfriend, I had to impress her somehow. So I did join a CrossFit box and I did it pretty consistently for 2 to 3 years. I am what we called scaled AF. I was very good at the scaled movements and I did some
Oh,
competitions, teams. We won a few of our competitions, which was awesome. I've competed with Jamie and we have podium together, and that was great. However, I didn't actually like what it was doing to my body.
oh,
As a CrossFit athlete, personally, I felt I didn't have the time to dedicate to the sport to
yeah,
get better at it. It's one of those things that if you go, 4 times a week to that 1 hour class, you're really not getting as much out of it as you could. And
yeah,
I didn't have the ability with my work at the time to dedicate as much as I wanted to. So that is when I switched to bodybuilding.
yeah. I see. Okay, so you did mention this word. I can't remember it now, but something AF. What was it that you can you explain?
Scaled AF, scaled. So in
Yeah,
CrossFit, you have the prescribed level that you're supposed to do.
yeah,
And then below that, there's the level called scaled. And that's what makes CrossFit so accessible to so many people and why it really is an excellent way to get your exercise in for
yeah.
almost anybody, because there are scaled ways to do the workout, meaning you lower the weight or you
Okay.
lower the movement and you change it up. So I was really good at the scaled level.
Yeah, okay. That gives sense. Thank you. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so you were into CrossFit before, but then began to actually do bodybuilding. So yeah, that was also one of the first things that I actually wanted to ask you. So when you began to do bodybuilding, it what was the well, I guess you actually mentioned now what the main goal was, but can you, yeah, say a little more about that?
Yeah, of course, I'd love to. I was working at a job that I had gotten really good at, but I wasn't being challenged in. So I'm a speech language pathologist
Mm,
by career,
yeah,
and I was working in a private practice with children, and I was really good. I don't want to like brag, but I was really good at what I
yeah,
was doing. And I felt like I was making changes in these children's lives.
yeah,
However, as a clinician, I wasn't learning or growing.
mm,
I wasn't being challenged. So I said, okay, I'm not going to leave my job because I like my job, but
yeah,
I need something in my life to work for
mm,
and to challenge myself.
yeah, I see.
So I said, you know what? Why not try my hand at competing, a physique
Mm,
competition? And for anybody listening who doesn't really know what that is, it's those people who you see on stage who look like they have all this muscle, who are crazy tanned with a full
yeah,
face of makeup and in heels, which is what I did.
yeah,
It's a bikini competition. And not to go too far deep into it, but it is a challenging sport in a lot of different ways, not only physically, but mentally, because in
yeah,
order to be successful, you have to have a certain amount of muscle, you have to pose, you have to stand in front of a massive crowd and judges in
yeah,
a bikini, in a tiny little bikini. So there's a mental and physical aspect to it that was really appealing to me, that I was like, you know what,
Yeah.
that's going to be a that's going to be a challenge. And so that's kind of where my mentality was going into the competition, because I needed something in my life that was really going to push me to kind of be better and to step out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, I see. I see. So, what has been the biggest, one of the biggest learnings for you in, yeah, in this,
Through that whole process,
yeah, through the whole process?
yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons I learned, and it may sound cliche, but it was, if you put your mind to something and you want something, if
Mm,
your reason behind doing something is strong enough, you can do it no matter what. Um,
yeah,
if your why, I talk a lot on
yeah,
Instagram about your why and about your reason behind choosing to do things in life. If that's strong enough, you can overcome anything and you can accomplish anything. I had to, there were days that we would go out with friends for dinner and I had to bring a Tupperware to a restaurant so that I
yeah.
was eating my own food. There were times when I had to say no to birthday parties
Mm,
because they were late at night and I knew the next day I needed my sleep in order to get
yeah,
to the gym. Um, but on top of that, there were also days just personally at home where, when you're really not feeling great and you don't want to go to the
mm,
gym and you're like, I'm going to sit on the couch instead. I had to get
yeah,
up and I had to go to the gym.
yeah, do it anyway.
So yeah, you have to do it anyway. So all of those physical and mental shifts
Mm,
um, happened because I wanted something so badly, and I overcame a lot of different things, and I learned that you are stronger than we give ourselves credit for,
yeah,
and we can do a lot more than we think we can if we just decide to do it.
yeah. I also think that we grow and like change our mindset a whole lot when we realize that, like when we put ourselves first, because when we have to, like if like the example you came with, taking a Tupperware thing to a restaurant or not going out with friends, it's something that can be, yeah, it's really hard sometimes, and maybe sometimes people don't understand it. I've tried that in my family or just in class, but yeah, that's really some, like, how do I say this, how do you like practice to choose yourself in this way, or like, or yeah,
Yeah, it's little things. It starts with
yeah,
the little things. I wasn't able to do it at the beginning. It was
oh,
hard.
yeah,
Um, you know, I had my official preparation for my show, which is your cut part where you're
mm,
trying to lose all the fat, was 16 weeks. Was
mm,
I perfect for 16 weeks? Absolutely not. It probably took me 4 just to fully get into the groove, because there were little things where I would slip up this way, or little things where I would say, I can make that up later.
mm,
It's not a light switch, although some people can 100% turn it on right away. You
yeah,
have to have that decision. You have to make that decision as a light switch, but then you have to realize that every situation you come into is now a new learning
mm,
process, and you're 100% right. You grow when you have to challenge yourself, and you grow when you have to step away and say, no, family and friends, I'm putting myself first this time.
yeah,
Just for the 16 weeks, like, this is what I'm doing, head down. And it's little decisions that kind of snowball
mm,
and, grow into
it
that
is. Mm,
full picture. Okay, now for the next 10 weeks, I'm 100% dedicated. I know exactly what to say no to, when to say yes, how to say yes, that kind of thing. So it's little tiny steps every day.
yeah,
Um, it down for just the normal everyday person who is a lifestyle fitness, into lifestyle fitness changes, it's getting up and drinking a glass of water before your
yeah,
coffee. That's a little
yeah,
tiny step you can
yeah,
take.
that's one of
And
them.
it's going to help you in the long run, yeah, after days and days of doing that. So it's things like that.
Yeah, and so all of these things that also, as you know, said, that comes up with this snowball, that is, like we mentioned, the why, which is really important, because I think, yeah, it's actually also something I talked with a mentor about the other day. Also, according to when we go to school, students as well, that it sometimes may be hard, because when we go to school, we sometimes just get pressured to go to a school to like then we have this ordinary to what's it called, like then we are kind of have this safe one to fall back to if something else doesn't like go with what we think it will. But I think that this wire also just makes it so important, because then we have a bigger reason. And yeah, just as you said, all these things, they does add up to these bigger things, and that is what makes it give sense for it.
Exactly.
So yeah, what has I don't know if you have mentioned it already actually, but what have been the most like challenging thing for you? Is there something that, yeah, I think of course there may be something that you have struggled with, but
The most challenging part
yeah,
of bodybuilding, do you mean specifically?
yeah,
I think for my first prep, for my first show, the most challenging thing was finding the groove within my marriage. You know, having my wife support me in a way that was healthy for me, for
yeah,
her, and for us together. We actually recorded a YouTube video this morning, kind of explaining how challenging it was on our relationship. And while in the end, we came out, you know, like as we mentioned earlier, we grew, we got stronger, our communication got better. We learned so much about each other, and this relates to life in general. Every time that you have a new experience, every single experience you have on your own or with a partner is an opportunity to learn and grow together. So luckily our communication is pretty good. We work really hard on that. But there were a lot of challenges that came up during the prep within our relationship. And I think that was the hardest part, because I can be in control of me, no problem. I know what I want. I know what I needed to do.
yeah.
But to do that and also remember that there was another person within this relationship in the house was hard.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. Yeah. Well, yeah, so communication is a really big or important thing to like exercise or to focus on and get better in, if that's something that's not working as well. So right now you're preparing for a new show, right? Is that right?
I actually don't have plans in 2022 to compete. However, that doesn't mean I'm not preparing. The beautiful thing about bodybuilding is your off season. I don't like to call it an off season because I'm never really off. I like to call it an improvement or a building season, because for the whole year of 2022, I am eating a lot of food. I am lifting super heavy to try to build that muscle mass. All of my feedback from my 2 shows were, you look great, your conditioning is great, your overall look is great, but you're too small. So I need to spend the year putting on a lot of muscle. And then my goal is to compete in 2023 again.
Okay, then we look forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's hard. It's fun to be able to eat whatever you want and go out and have fancy dinners again. But it's also challenging because I am now purposefully putting on weight, which as a woman is hard to, when society tells you your entire life, be small, look this way, fit into this size. And here I am spending an entire year trying to grow past that and trying to put on weight. It's been a mental shift, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's really hard. I think that just as you said, society does a lot to our minds that sometimes, or that often makes us think that that what we do is wrong because it has always been like that. But it's about changing that, and
And it comes back to my why, right? I mean, I can honestly relate anything back to your why. My why is in 2022, I want to win a show. I want to win the entire show.
Mm.
I want to become an IFBB pro by the time I'm 35. And if I want to do that naturally, I need to take the time to grow the muscle and put on the
Yeah.
weight. So because my why is strong enough, I can do this. I know I can do this. I've
Yeah.
already put on 20 pounds
Yeah. Okay.
since my
Mm.
show. Yeah, which sounds like a lot, but and I'm not saying I don't have hard days. I do have hard
Yeah.
and rough body
Yeah.
image days. I do have days where I'm like nothing fits. I hate my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
but but because my why is strong enough, I get
Mm.
through it and I say, Katie, this is what you want. You want to put on muscle. That means your shorts aren't going to fit the same way because your booty's growing, and that's the good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Exactly. I also saw
Yeah.
that post one day where you compared it to the shoe size. If your fit or if your clothes don't fit, then don't change your body. Then change the clothes size.
Exactly right. Why do we treat our bodies to try to fit into a size? You wouldn't change
Exactly.
your foot to try to fit into a
Oh,
shoe. I love that you
exactly.
brought that up.
Yeah,
I love that.
exactly. But I just thought that it was a really good one. I think I maybe shared it too as well. I sometimes do when I see something on your pages or others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
like
you.
I
Thank you.
have to choose, yeah, show this on to us. So uh yeah, so balancing work and um relationship and all this, like while you also are what's it called yeah, medical um what's it called?
Yeah, we can say SLP, speech
Okay,
language pathology.
speech language
So pathologist, yeah. So
yeah.
let me explain what that is. Just as a medical SLP, that means I work in a hospital. So what I do 3 days out of the week is I work in an acute care inpatient hospital where I work with primarily adults who have had strokes.
Okay.
But I also work in the NICU, which is the neonatal
Mm.
ICU, the intensive care unit for premature babies or babies who are
Oh,
born, term but are having issues. So
yeah,
I work kind of with babies all the way up to adults
yeah,
um, in the hospital setting. So it's a quick day. It's fast paced. I see
mm,
probably 6 to 9 patients a day.
yeah,
Um, and it's a lot of turnover, which is what I love about this setting. I left private practice to be in the hospital.
yeah.
So I work 3 days a week at the hospital, and then 2 days a week, usually
Okay.
actually really 4 days a week, but 2 days a week I work for Jamie. I am the
Yeah,
new Jamie fitness assistant coach.
yeah,
I have clients who I work with on mindset, accountability,
yeah,
positive outlook. So I balance. I dropped down from the hospital from 5 days a week to 3 in order to balance more. So
yeah,
I still get out of the house. I still do what I love as an
yeah,
SLP, but I have that balance now of 3 days a week in the hospital, 2 days a week working from home with my wife,
yeah,
impacting lives in a different way. So
exactly.
7 days a week, I'm impacting lives, whether it be in the hospital or online with my clients.
Yeah, so that's amazing to have like this shift from doing different things. When was it that you did this shift from like having 5 days to three
I
and helping Jamie?
it was recent. I think February 1st is
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
so it's only a month and a half, really.
yeah.
Um, but because my client list was kind of growing really quickly,
Mm,
I realized I didn't have the time to dedicate to my clients,
mm,
time
okay.
they deserve from me.
Yeah,
So I spoke to my supervisor and I said, I need to only work 3 days a week
yeah,
because, there is this other side of me that really truly loves helping people with their fitness journeys.
yeah,
Not only fitness though, I work a lot on mindset. So a lot of my clients are having, like, we all know what to do. We know we can go
mm,
on YouTube and find a workout. We know we can find
yeah.
healthy eating guidelines. It's actually doing it that's the
It's the
hard part.
doing, yeah, it is. It
So
is.
I work with my clients on that mental shift of I can, I should, I do.
Mm,
And
yeah,
that's I bring them over that bridge, and we actually get to doing things.
Yeah, I love that, because it is the doing that is the hardest. We often like think or dream or have these ideas, but yeah, it's not until that we actually do it we can make a change on it.
Right. Exactly.
So I actually thought that you did like shift all um well, I thought that you actually did quit your job somehow for the other, but then I know now that you actually do it part-time or 3 days and 2 days.
Yeah,
That's
one of my friends from high school messaged me, and she was like, "Oh my God, you quit the hospital?" I'm like, "Well, no, I didn't actually quit the hospital, but
oh,
I do balance it well, where I get a little bit of adult time in the hospital and then home
mm,
time. And then, of course, with balancing work and my relationship, it's been really nice being home, and working together next to each other at the dining room table, because we now have all of this extra time. And when I
yeah,
can help Jamie on the back end of her business during the day, it actually allows more time for us at night to have wife time. So
yeah,
during the day, we're boss and employee, but then it allows us to truly shut off and be just kind of us in our personal relationship without business.
yeah. So that's just a plus, we can say. So was it I guess you and your chef, you have a great communication, right? For when like having to go from 4 days to 3 days because you realize that you had to do or have more time because there's actually more need for it. He was
Yeah,
like good at giving you this space, right? Or
from the hospital,
or sorry,
the
the person.
no,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
you like the boss
communication with Jamie or communication with work.
work.
Oh, yeah, they were what we call PRN, which is as needed. So I had a little bit more flexibility with work. Luckily, I wasn't a
Oh,
full-time
okay.
employee anyway.
Oh, okay. PRM. Okay, great. That's something. Do you know if that's something like that you have on all workplaces in the USA?
Yeah, so in the hospital setting, you can either be a full-time employee or you can be a pool PRN employee. So a PRN employee, you get paid an hourly rate and we don't get health care benefits,
Oh,
but we have a lot more flexibility with our schedule. We're kind of just as needed. So, if the hospital has more of a need, they can
yeah.
call me in extra days. If they don't have much of a need, they can call me off some days. So, but
Okay.
I like the flexibility with my schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um. So, okay, we have actually talked a bit about this, but with balancing the life and so. But you recently started, or not recently, it's actually some time ago now, but you started the YouTube channel. I would like to hear from you. How's that been and why actually?
Yeah.
Like,
So
yeah,
with YouTube, I think we really started it because we started it back when I was in prep for my show. So last August or September. So it's been
yeah,
quite a few months.
yes,
And we thought we just wanted a place to document this process for the
mm,
shows and competing, and life, because Instagram and TikTok are great, but they don't have a place where you can really put long
no,
speaking,
right,
behind the scenes, day
yeah,
to day. So I thought, why not try YouTube? Why not
yeah,
try? And Jamie had a channel already, so we just started kind of like recording our day to day life. And I feel like social media in general, people just really like to see other people's lives.
yeah,
you know, we're
that's
just we're so interested, which is why reality TV is a thing, because we're so
yeah,
interested in how other people are living their lives.
yeah,
And so I if people like to see our stuff on our stories, why not
mm,
start a YouTube? So we started the YouTube. It went really, really well at first because we were competing, and it was very different. So
yeah,
people like to watch. It has been hard to keep up with. I will tell
yeah,
you that. It's hard to remember to film everything. It's
yes,
hard to advertise. I feel like it's been challenging to grow our following on
Yes.
YouTube. We finally have over 1,000 subscribers, which is
Yeah.
great.
It's like,
But it's definitely it's different because when you have your phone and you just pick up your phone and do a
yeah.
quick little story and pop it onto Instagram. But with YouTube, you have to film a bunch of different things. We have
Yeah.
our camera,
Exactly.
great. But then you have to transfer it and edit it and
Yeah.
upload it.
Exactly. There's all
So
of these things. Yeah.
yeah, it's fun and I enjoy doing it, which is why we're
Mm.
still doing it. I think if it didn't bring me joy, we wouldn't do it anymore.
Oh no.
Um, but I have fun editing. It's just remembering to take all the videos and then like
Yeah.
share and
Exactly.
advertise. That's the hard part.
Yeah, I began also to do it like 2 years ago, and firstly I did it in English, but then I switched over to Danish just to start it off and also like build my YouTube skills and editing skills at first. But yeah, definitely been taking a lot of work to like also sometimes remember to film something. But also having to yeah, get it from your phone to your computer and then having music or all these editing things. There's a lot of work put into it. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
I also recognized in one of your videos, I have to ask you this also just quick. Um, do you have a self-driving car?
No. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Somebody else, I know exactly what you're talking about. Somebody else commented on that exact video, said, wait a second, if Jamie is filming and I was eating,
Yeah,
right? But my
exactly.
so somebody else said that they were
Okay.
like, wait a second, if Jamie's filming and Jamie's using both her hands to eat, who the heck is driving?
Yeah.
I was driving. Growing up, I'm laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Growing up, my mom
Mm.
would drive with her knee. She would have her knee holding the steering wheel, her left knee
Oh,
holding the steering wheel, and she would drink or she would eat.
yeah.
Um, and so that's how I learned to drive. At watching my
Okay.
mother drive with her left knee, while her right
Yeah.
foot was on the pedal. So I have this, and Jamie's amazed by it. She's like, "How do you do that?" I can
Yeah.
drive, I
I'm
can
too.
with my knee,
But I was
and it's
like,
really
maybe,
it's so I can eat. It's just so I can
yeah.
eat.
Because I thought it because like it's USA and you have Teslas and other cars also that might. So why not? Maybe it could just apply for that's just your skills.
Yeah, I wish I had a Tesla, but now it's just my knee.
Yeah. Well, actually we have at home, but yeah. So well, and then I also recognize that you actually you mentioned it now, but you do have some food sometimes in bags, and that surprised me a lot because I think, well, if somebody now I think it's a great idea and really smart to do when you're on prep. I just never thought about it. So yeah, that's really something that has kind of surprised me because I've never.
It was yeah, it's out of the box thinking, right?
Yeah, it
So
is.
I saw it on another competitor's story that instead of using a bunch of Tupperware,
Yeah.
her meal prep, she would just throw everything in a Ziploc bag and throw it in the freezer. And I thought, huh, why haven't I done that? Because A, it
Mm.
saves space.
Mm.
Think
Yes.
of like Chipotle, right? Do you have Chipotle in Denmark?
No, we don't. I don't think so, but I've eaten it before. It's very good.
So the whole idea is just everything in a bowl. So all of your food gets mixed together. Now,
Yeah.
if you're OCD and you don't like your food to touch, it's not going to be a good plan for you. But
No.
I love meal prepping in bowls. I'll throw rice in a bowl and toppings. So
Okay.
chicken, beans. I'll do sweet potato or mashed potato with like fish and green beans, and I just throw everything in a bowl anyway. So when you're good with bowls as your meal, then
Yeah.
all you have to do is throw all those ingredients into a Ziploc bag, and A, it saves space. You can freeze it really well so that
Yeah.
you can eat it a couple days later, and it travels. You can
Yeah.
travel with it. So yeah, I think that the Ziploc bag method is really good for anybody, even if you don't compete. If you travel, if you go on
Mhm.
road
Yeah,
trips,
that's right.
way to bring your food around with you.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. So Something I also wanted to talk about was sexuality and your finding out that you are into girls and your coming out story or telling your parents and family. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, would you
we
like
can
to tell?
we can talk about both of those things. I have an interesting story because my mom is actually gay. So
Oh,
my mom and my dad had myself and my twin brothers. So they're 2 years younger than I am.
yeah.
And the three of us, we call ourselves the originals because there are two additional siblings, but they are from second marriages.
Oh,
So my mom and my dad got divorced when I was 5,
yeah.
and my mom came out and she remarried a woman.
Okay.
And so my mom identifies as a lesbian.
Yeah.
And because of that, I believe that, you know, we could go so far into nature versus nurture and
Mm,
genetics and all
yeah.
that. But I do believe that because I was raised in a home that
Mm,
modeled love whoever you want to love,
yeah.
I was more open
Mm,
to that automatically. So for me, when I was in middle school, I was kissing my best friend who
mm,
was a woman, well, a
yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
um, because that was modeled for me from my
Yeah.
mom, who said, you can kiss boys, you can kiss girls, whoever you want.
Yeah.
It was okay for me to kind of experiment with
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
And then through high school, I dated men. So I had a few boyfriends in high school.
Yeah.
My first girlfriend was freshman year of college. It was kind of a summer fling. We met on Tinder.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and because at that point I was young, so there
Yeah.
wasn't really, and I was in 2010 is when I graduated high school. So at that
Mm,
point, it still it wasn't, it wasn't easy to go out and flirt with women. Like it
no.
wasn't a thing. So
No.
you kind of
Okay.
I mean, it still is hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it definitely wasn't back then. It definitely wasn't accepted to just walk up and flirt with a girl at a
No.
bar, or not at a bar because I was 18, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I do.
So we met on Tinder and we had a summer fling romance,
Mm,
and that is when I came out to my mom.
yeah.
I said, Mom, this is Colby. She's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Um, and my mom wasn't surprised. She said, Honey, I've known since you were kissing Gracie in middle school. I was like, Really?
Oh.
Some parents just have that awareness.
Yeah.
Um, but I did not come out to my dad. Now remember, they're divorced, so
Mm,
it wasn't my mom. My mom didn't feel like it was her place to tell him. She knew it was my place to tell him,
yeah.
which I'm grateful for and I
Yeah.
respect. And I think that all parents should, even if you're still together, I think that
Yeah.
if the child feels more comfortable. Anyways, um,
Yeah.
I went back to college and I broke up with Colby and
Yeah.
I
Okay.
started dating a boy.
Mhm.
I was dating my boyfriend for about 2 years when I met my next girlfriend. Broke up with my boyfriend
Yeah.
for this friend. So I was a junior in college when I came out to my dad. And I
Okay.
said, Dad, this is Michelle. She's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it didn't go so well.
Oh.
We didn't chat
Yeah.
for about a month. We didn't really talk. My stepmom was much more open to it. She
Mm,
chatted with me about it. She asked questions, but my dad
yeah.
just kind of shut down. So I had a really hard time with my dad.
Yeah.
And luckily, he really liked my girlfriend at the time. So he came around and he welcomed her into the family. But I think it just took him a little bit longer
Yeah.
to wrap his head around. Um, but we are now great. And he loves Jamie. And he actually really liked Jamie. I
Oh, that's great.
my parents like my wife better than they like me.
Oh, okay.
but it was challenging, and I know that my story is not the horror story that you hear out there. I know
Oh,
that I wasn't kicked out of the house, I wasn't cut off. But my story was challenging for me. And I think that there are so many different ways that children have to come out to their parents, which is it's
yes,
sad alone that we have to come out.
yes, I
Um,
do too.
that I think talking about it as much as we can and sharing our different experiences and stories so that you can find someone who you can relate to is important.
Yes,
And
definitely.
honestly, the biggest thing that I remember was the feeling of, oh my gosh, that's over. Like, I feel so much better now. Like, just
Yeah,
saying it out loud. And so whenever someone asks me about how to come out to their parents, I just say, do it. There's
yeah,
never going to be time. You're never going to feel ready. There's never going to be the right
wow,
words. You can't expect a reaction from them because everyone is going to react or respond differently.
yeah,
But
exactly.
just doing it, you're going to feel so much better. So that's always my advice: is rip the Band-Aid off and just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But in terms of sexuality, if we want to put a label on me, I identify as bisexual.
Mm.
So a lot of people question that term when I say that, and I don't love to use it frequently because I am happily married
Mm.
to a woman,
Yeah.
obviously. But that I think that my marriage status or my relationship status doesn't equal my kind of label or my
No.
identity as well. I think they're a little bit different. There's
Yeah.
different boxes.
Yeah.
Identify female, sexual, married female, I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, that's a really just having to process it. Oh, well.
I know. I just word vomited all over.
No, but I love it. I love that you tell these different things because first of all, the thing, yeah, we all come from like different places and have different experiences, and parents have different experiences from their lives. So yeah, it's like our own heart experience differently. Like you said, your experience was hard in your way because the experience with your father. What was his experience or his reaction when he found out that your mother? Yeah.
That's a really good question, and I've thought the same thing. Is that I think that his reaction to me dating women maybe gave him a little. I don't really want to use the term, but like PTSD, a little post-traumatic, threw him back into that time and space for him. So I think that his reaction to my news wasn't directly related to me. It was all because of his experiences in the past with my mom. So I thought the same exact thing. I thought, after I had time to process it, I thought, I think this isn't at me. I think this is him dealing with his own stuff that maybe he hadn't dealt with back years ago. I mean, at this point, it had been like 13 years. So, and we never talked about it. I never asked him. We never brought it up.
Okay.
So I don't have the answer, but where your head went was exactly where my head went. I think it was just from his past that he had to deal with my mom.
Yeah.
And I let him deal with it on his own. I didn't really dive too deeply in with him. Because we're in a good place now, so I didn't really.
Yeah.
Didn't
And that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Right, I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Yeah, I do. I totally understand. Do you know Ellen? The Ellen show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I've seen a lot of that lately.